I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
This amazing documentary, Kiss the Ground, begins with some dire warnings about climate change. And the film moves on to take a detailed look at what characterizes a healthy soil. Teeming with micro energy and life, and then it's a soil that sequesters CO2 from the environment and nurtures the things that we grow and affects us deeply in a positive way in our lives. It also links the health of the soil and the vitality gained from foods grown in it. I found it interesting to find out that our soil on our planet has lost a third of its topsoil. And fortunately, there are numerous farmers, many farmers, who are learning how we can restructure, rebuild, and begin to nurture our soil so that it is much more productive for us and helps for us to lead healthy lives. The film correlates numerous factors to the deterioration of our soil. And the first one began many years ago with the development of the plow, which seemed like a great thing at the time, right? You plow up the soil, you put seeds, you fertilize it, and then cover it up and it grows. But what happens when we plow is that plowing removes microbes from the soil. And erosion happens, and soil literally becomes dirt. And another thing that the second factor that damages our soil is spraying of industrial chemicals, right? It seemed like a good idea at the time, but what spraying with these toxic chemicals does is to kill the microbes that are in the soil, which prevent the plants from bringing them forward. And we need those microbes to live healthy lives. It's interesting to find out that as I talk about in the video, every handful of healthy soil contains as many microbes as there are people, or as there ever has been people on this planet. And to me, that's just amazing. And to think that we have been destroying these microbes and thereby preventing the beneficial things that they bring to us from affecting our lives. In the same way that our soil is important for the earth and our physical health, our soul is important for our physical and spiritual existence and our full expression on this planet as spiritual beings having a physical experience. In the same way that our earth can be negatively affected by plowing, tilling, and spraying of industrial chemicals, our souls can be adversely affected by negative thinking and overthinking. You know, I think we're all familiar with the idea that what we think about expands. It's a real basic truth, and we know that the effect of our thoughts. Our souls are a combination of ideas, truth, and beliefs and intentions that we've developed over our lifetime. Now, if we are over-tilling our souls, we are overthinking negative ideas. If we are overspraying our souls with negative thoughts and beliefs, we are adversely affecting our souls and not allowing the fertile truth of spirit to move through us in powerful ways. So in order to develop strong and fruitful souls, we must nurture our souls in the same manner which we must nurture the soil on our planet. You know, we have the opportunity every day to nurture our souls. and to pay attention to our souls by being aware of what we're thinking and what we're doing. You know, the practice of mindfulness, which I'm sure you've heard about, is all about not getting too attached to our thoughts and sort of realizing that they're like clouds and allowing them to pass and not to see them with judgment. And many of you know, and many of you are involved in our spirit groups that are happening right now. And it's been such a phenomenal experience. We've been talking about it and experiencing mindfulness activities. For example, we've done something called centering prayer. We've experimented with temple bell moments. We've worked with touchstones and mindful eating, as well as mindful movement. All of these things to really pay attention to being mindful, being totally present in the moment. And even though we know that this is such a powerful thing to do, sometimes it's necessary that we examine our thoughts, even just a little bit. You know, negative thoughts are part of our human experience. And I like the fact that this idea is where psychology and Buddhism come together. They both agree that negative thoughts are just a part of being human. And if we push them away or try to repress them, they're going to sprout up in some other part of our garden and be much stronger. Rather, what we can do is we can inspect them just a little bit, to pay attention to them, to see what their origins are, and to see if there's something that we need to do to be present to the negative thoughts that we're having. You know, it's natural to want to avoid things that are negative. I think we're taught that from being young children. A few weeks ago, I was driving on the Pilani Highway, and I'm driving behind this person who is like swerving all over the road, right? And I thought, well, surely this person is intoxicated. And, you know, I tried to pass him a couple times, and the person swerved over in my lane, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I backed up and stayed at a safe distance from this person for my own protection and that of just whatever I could control and help others. And then when the person got caught up in traffic and had to stop for a light, I was able to go past that person. But so, you know, it's natural for us to want to avoid the things that are difficult or that appear to be negative. However, sometimes we have to take a look at our negative thinking and diffuse our negative thinking and have a different relationship with it. I got divorced in 2006, and I remember that I had this thought, and certainly divorce is a painful experience for many of us, maybe for all of us, but I had the thought that said to me, I am going to be alone forever. And it was a sort of a dominating thought. It was a thought that I plowed over and over in my mind and in my consciousness, and I noticed that it really made me feel bad, and it made me feel sad, and I tried to push that thought and the associated feelings away so that I couldn't and wouldn't experience them. But I kept plowing that field and raising up that idea, and I kept thinking about the disappointment and the anger and the blame, and sort of spraying my field with these negative ideas that just made me feel bad. You know, and things began to change for me when I started to look at the statement, you know, that the idea that I'm going to be alone forever. Somehow I looked at it with openness, and I got to a place in my process where I could look at it with openness and curiosity and kind of go, wow, is that thought really real, right? Certainly the feeling was real, but I had to look at what is the thought, and is that the absolute truth for me? Wow, and when I started to do that, I started to see it differently, because I really came to realize that, I've been in relationships before, and fortunately, I've been able to always find a relationship, to be in a good relationship, and fertilized with that idea, I began to have a different relationship with that thought. And when we can change our relationship with a thought, we can really change our experience. It's natural to experience negativity. It's a part of our human experience to have negative thoughts. So this practice of observing our negative thoughts isn't so much about getting rid of them, but it's about having a different relationship with our thoughts. We may not be able to control all of our thoughts and when they come, but we can control how we feel about them and how we experience them. Our thoughts are, at best, random, and they're at worst destructive. And the truth is that 5% of our thoughts are meaningful and relevant. And 95% of our thoughts are just thoughts that we've had before. They're just kind of random things that are passing through the screen of our thought patterns. And they really don't have any significance. They're just ideas that are flashing by the screen of our minds. Psychology suggests that we should notice our thoughts, and then rather than just waiting for them to go away, to investigate them a little bit, to ask, what is this? What is this about? It's kind of like, we have a garden in and around our house, and we've got numerous plants, right? And we choose not to or not to put toxic chemicals on those plants, but instead we watch them every day, and we look at them for insects and diseases and white flies and caterpillars and other things that could infect our plants and damage them. And it's like that's what we can do with our thoughts, is just examine them to look for the credibility and if they are really true. The Buddha said that he divided his thoughts into two categories. On one hand, wholesome, thoughtful, productive thoughts, and that leads to peacefulness and happiness. And on the other hand, those that led to harm and confusion. And he observed and said that that which the mind dwells becomes what we experience. In fact, he said something that is really profound. He said, each type of thought makes a track or a rut in the brain. And modern neuroscientists are proving that that is true, that the thought patterns that we continuously think about actually create neural pathways in our brain that are like freeways, right? And the larger the freeway, the more we travel down that thought pattern. So we want to build positive freeways, positive neural pathways in our minds. And one of the ways that we can build these positive pathways is in meditation. And in that process of meditation, to spend time sending love to negative thoughts, sending love to fearful thoughts, rather than not thinking about them or trying to push them away, just to embrace them with love. It's almost like, These negative thoughts and fears and doubts and that we have are like a small child that's hurting. And we wouldn't push that child away. Instead, we would embrace it and tell it that we love it and hold it. And so we can do that with the thoughts that are negative and have a negative effect on our lives. If we can actually embrace them, send them light, send them love, send them truth, and hold them, we can actually create new neural pathways in our minds that reinforce powerful, productive thoughts that are nourishing to our soul. In the film Kiss the Ground, we learn the importance of taking care of the microbes in our soil. And we do this for the health of our plants, for the health of the soil, certainly, and essentially for our own health, so that the foods that we eat actually pull the microbes out of the soil, and so that we can use them for our own health and enrichment. And doing so, it also is good for our planet as well. In the same way that we must take care of the soil on our planet, we must take care of our souls by creating nurturing relationships with our thoughts. In the same way that our earth can be negatively affected by plowing, tilling, and spraying of industrial chemicals, our souls can be adversely affected by negative thinking and overthinking. Our soul is the net that catches thoughts. It catches thoughts which are the basis of our internal and external conditions. The soul is the spiritual realm in which we exist. If our soul is a net catching every kind of thought, then we must separate those which are good from those which are not good, so that we can dwell in thoughts which bring forth fruitful conditions. It behooves us to plant good seeds in the fertile soil of our minds if we want to live a life filled with joy and happiness. Our affirmation for today is, I plant good seeds in the fertile soil of my mind. I am living a healthy and fruitful life. Let's say that together. I plant good seeds in the fertile soil of my mind. I am living a healthy and fruitful life. And let's take a few moments to join together in meditation. Breathing in and breathing out. And let's take a journey into this garden of our mind, into the garden of our soul, and to see it as a fruitful environment that we are enriching with loving thoughts. Imagine that the soil in your soul is rich and plentiful with microbes of truth, nourished, powerful, fruitful. And imagine that you are planting into the soil truth, love, peace. And imagine this, what grows from this wonderful, fruitful soil in your soul are powerful, beautiful plants of light and love, thoughts of peace and nourishment. And let's just breathe into this moment for a few seconds in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. And slowly bringing our awareness back to this moment. I invite you to take some deep breaths, to come back. Thank you, loving Spirit. And so it is. Here's an amazing song sung by Nemo Patel and Daniel Namad. It goes along with our talk today and our message and our theme of Kiss the Ground. Their song is titled Planting Seeds. And here it is. I hope that you enjoyed that. Welcome back. And I invite you now at this time to prepare your contribution, your love offering to Unity Church of Maui. And I'd like to thank you in advance for your gifts that continue to allow us to do this great work. So as you prepare your gifts, both in your consciousness and perhaps you have a check that you're going to send us, I invite you to hold that and let's pray and affirm together our prayer for prosperity, which begins: through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Thank you, God. Thank you for helping us to continue doing this great work. It is through your gifts that we're allowed to continue to offer these talks during this very strange time. But thank you for supporting us. We so do appreciate you. And I like to believe and to think that as you give to us, you are supporting our message and are a part of this team that we are on Maui to bring these messages to the world. So thank you and bless you. And you can write a check and send it to Unity Church of Maui, located at 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And you can also go to our webpage, unityonmaui.org, and click on the donate button, and your secure gift will be graciously received as you click on our donate button there on the website. So thank you very much. Let's see, just a couple things. Next Saturday is Halloween. And because we can't get together socially, we thought it'd be fun to do a Zoom call Halloween party. That's next Saturday night at 7 o'clock. And we'll have some games and some jokes and maybe a spooky story or two. And I invite you to bring a story or a joke to our Zoom call at 7 o'clock. And I think it'd just be a fun way for us to get together. And if you'd like to wear a Halloween costume or a hat or a mask or whatever, maybe we can try and guess who you are. I think lots of fun things can happen. And you'll find the links to our Halloween Zoom party in our newsletter and on our website. And you'll also find the links to our Wednesday Daily Word and meditation that happens at 12 o'clock every Wednesday. It's a great opportunity for us to get together and say hello in the middle of the week and to spend some time in meditation and to read the inspirational daily word. And if you like our messages, you can always go to Unity Church of Maui's YouTube page, where you'll find this video and others, as well as an abundance of music from our local musicians. So check that out as well. And I think that about wraps it up for today. Thank you for being here. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I behold the Christ in you. And why don't we end today by praying together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. God bless you, my friend. See you soon. Mahalo and aloha.
Where I live, they're all raised.